Hey, thanks for watching. Welcome to this episode. That's how real YouTubers start their videos, isn't it? Welcome to this episode. I remember when I just started my first videos, if you go back and look, if you can still find them, they were called episode 1 and episode 2 and all that, because that's what I thought was cool. And then Giles told me, drop the episode crap. So I did, which was good advice. Not that I have anything against YouTube show masters. For me, it would be pretentious to do that. But welcome. I noticed that most of my videos lately have had no start. I just start talking, and I thought maybe I should start with a proper welcome. I washed my hair at the gym this morning, and it's kind of jumpy, so I'll be touching my hair a lot. Sorry about that. Anyway, also, when I just started out in this room, which has changed over time, my camera is over there now, and my desk used to be over there, pointing around the room you can't see. But when I started in this room, I didn't have a PC. I did not have a PC. I was using my wife's old laptop for PC things, but I certainly wasn't gaming on PC. So then, at some point, Mark, our good friend Lacto, gave me an old PC of his. Now, this is the front of that thing. Right? Mark, you recognize this thing? I don't think it actually had Mac. Maybe you had Hackintosh or something installed on that thing. The case is just over here. And I've used that thing, the case at least, for a long time. Until now, because something's changed. I put a new main board in that case a long time ago with an old AMD FX 4300 bulldozer architecture, which has done me a great service over time. But some of the games, they require a little bit better single core or maybe even dual core performance, which it didn't have. So it was struggling. So then I had this plan to attack another problem, which is the boot time of that machine. And I bought a little piece of kit that didn't go on the motherboard. So I bought a new motherboard for the same chip, for the same FX 4300. Which was a mistake because I completely misread the specs and misunderstood the fact that an M2 SSD doesn't always have to be a PCIe interface. It can also be just a regular old SATA interface. And an M2 SSD SATA interface, don't do it. Just don't do it. You're better off just buying a regular old SSD drive with a SATA interface than the stupid M2 thing. Maybe in the future, but this M2 interface, which is like a tiny little, a regular hard disk is like a 2.5-inch package that goes into your case and you have to wire it to your main board. An M2 interface is like a next generation form factor, which is very much smaller. But it's a mess. Basically, it's a mess. And I'm still using it, but there's problems, not with the drive itself, but just interfacing it to the main board is just crap. I bought a little adapter board for it so that I could put my M2 SSD. It's a Crucial MX500, by the way. For those, if you're, buyer beware, a Crucial MX500 SATA SSD in an M2 interface. stay away from it. It's a great device, but it's very hard to get it to boot off your get your system to boot off that, because for some reason I've had like Windows installed on that thing 3 times, and the installation goes well, and you can reboot, and it works perfectly, and you can run updates on it from Windows, and everything works fine until you go into the BIOS and press save and exit. It's over. Your operating system won't boot. And I've not yet figured out exactly why that is. It has something to do with the M and B key, whatever. So I had Mark over here again to help me out with the installation of that M2 drive, which worked in the end. And then apparently, when he saw that I was still working with his old case, he said to himself, I'm gonna make you an offer for something new. And Mark, at one point, he bought like 5 new cases for the price of 3, and he was willing to cut me a deal, mate's rate for a new PC, including mainboard, memory, CPU, cooler, the whole shebang, almost the whole shebang, because I've got hard disks enough. But so he made me a deal, and at first I said, "Nah, thanks, Mark," but I'll find my own way. I was going to upgrade to FX 8350, which would run on my board and make a big difference in performance. That would have set me back like 60 euros. They're not expensive. But then, basically Giles said, you're an idiot to not accept that deal. And I thought about it and said, yeah, maybe he's right. Maybe I should just stop trying to make this work and just accept defeat and make the next step, because the AM3 Plus platform that the AMD chips that I was using was working on is basically, it's a dead platform. It's so old that it's better to move on. So I decided to do that. Despite I spent 70 euros on the new mainboard, which is basically just money out the door. I wish I hadn't. So I wish I had the money now to buy a proper SSD drive, but I'll get around to that. So long story short, I have a new PC now. It's an Intel i7, so it's pretty damn quick, especially compared to my previous CPU. That makes a big difference, especially in playing games. Playing Elite in VR, it just goes so much smoother now, because where I kind of assumed that the graphics card takes the brunt of the processing power when it comes to VR, having a fast CPU in most games is still very important, because there's a lot to do for the CPU as well. Also for the graphics, and then having a fast disk is even better, because it loads quickly. And some games you can just see the disk load stuff off the disk during gameplay all the time. So having a fast disk is pretty important as well. So, but I have a new PC. With my oldest mainboard that I had. I mean, all of them have had onboard audio, right? And all of them have had like 5.1 audio, like an output for the center speaker and left front, right front, rear and side speakers and bass and all that. And my headset, this Speedlink Medusa headset, which still is a great thing. This has like surround Dolby 5.1 surround sound. And it does that because it has 5 connectors, and each one goes into a different connector on the audio. Usually, what is it, Realtek or something. But as the boards got newer, the interference I got from the hardware around the audio section of the main board it's getting crazy. It's just when there's no sound in the game going, I can just hear buzzing and it's like, how does anyone accept that? It's just it's bullshit. It's really bad, and I can't imagine. I mean, if you're a main board designer or builder and you're watching this, why not just leave it off completely? You just don't do audio on board. Leave it off altogether. If you're going to do it badly, I mean, it's the worst. It's really the worst. So now I'm sitting here with my new PC and my new shit, and I noticed, by the way, that this newest Intel based board has only one audio out channel. So my Medusa headset was no longer capable of doing surround. So I'm thinking, shit, what's next? So I did something radical. I was going to invest in a new headset. And these headsets, you can go nuts for the headsets, but I wanted a USB one that does virtual surround sound. So it had to have like a USB connector. That's so what I did is for the eagle-eyed viewer, right there is where I had all my my Commodore stuff, and behind the Commodore stuff were all my Gamecube games, and I sold all of my Gamecube games. There were 25 games, and I sold them for $100 in store credit at Netgame. So it's the easiest thing. You just type in all the barcodes. The next day they send you an offer, which is criminally low, but added together, it's no hassle. Just pack them up. Just make sure they're complete, and just pack them up. Free shipping to them. And they just add a store credit, and you can spend that online. So I did immediately spend that online. And I bought the Radius GXT 350. There are better headsets out there. This has 7.1 virtual surround and USB, so that, for me, that ticked all the boxes. It has a microphone. It's an easy install, and it's one of the 3 headsets that they had in the store to begin with. So there really wasn't much choice. There was another one which I really wanted, and this is a thing that I've heard Dean Thompson talk about this. And Dean, if you're listening, you'll know immediately what I mean. They had a Nikon headset. So I wanted to know the specs, right? I wanted to know, does this have a USB connector, or does this have like 3.5 millimeter jack connectors? Now, this Nikon headset, which looked pretty cool, and it was for sale on many different sites. And all of the sites that I saw just regurgitated the same marketing information, that it was for PS4 and PC. And I could glean from some of the shops, just have a little tidbit of extra information saying surround sound is only available on PC. So, but there was never there were no pictures. There was never the information that said it has a USB connector. But me, I'm thinking, okay, if it's for PC and PS4, it must be USB. But having bought all this shit for nothing, basically, I'm being very careful, and so I went to the manufacturer's website, and all you get is a fucking online folder with a bunch of fucking pictures that tell you exactly nothing, right? There's no way of clicking on a link saying, oh, here are the specifications. This is what the speakers are like. This is what it weighs. This is the connector. That's what the only fucking piece of information that I wanted. And the fucking website just was a fucking photo shoot with fucking no information. And I hate that. I hate that. So I assumed in my mind, because I couldn't read this anywhere, but I read somewhere that it had sort of a Y splitter connector that you used on PC, and that's when I thought, okay, so surround is only on PC. There's a little bit of extra cable included, and that's what you use to connect it to PC to get surround. And that's like the 5 connectors again. It must be. So, Nacon, if you're listening, you're idiots, right? You're idiots. Just like, and I mentioned Dean because he said this about games. He wants to know usually, like, is this game that I'm interested in, is it online only? Or is there like an offline single player content option? And I can tell you that it's exactly the same. You go to these websites and you click from one thing to the other, and all you get is like stupid photographs and stupid information that tries to sell you the thing based on, oh, look how cool it looks, But you want specifications, right? If you want to sell something, offer people the specifications of what you're selling. Now, for a game, I can imagine that at the time that you're marketing it, you're not quite ready yet, because it could still go either way. But for like a headset, which is a finished product, you can just tell people what the fuck you're selling. Jesus Christ. Anyway, I didn't buy the Nacon, right? But I got $100, and that thing wasn't $100, like 40, and it's new, of course. And I bought 2 games, and I bought 2 games realizing this. I mean, I know that many of the people on YouTube are actual collectors. Or at least some of them say they are. And listen closely, because I think that you can only call yourself a collector if you can actually define beforehand what it is that you're going to collect. So if you're going to collect a full set of this, or you're going to collect like the games that you played when you were young, just to define yourself, from to differentiate yourself from just buying shit, right? Because just buying shit because you like buying shit is not collecting. And that's what I was doing. I was just buying shit. And because I was watching videos by other people, and they said, hey, this game is cool. And I thought, oh, this game must be cool. And I sort of felt the excitement, and I'd buy. I have games around here that I don't really care about. So this whole GameCube thing, and it's not said that I didn't like a Beautiful Joe. Beautiful Joe is I really like that game. So I actually played it. But the whole collection of games up there, Crazy Taxi and Gun and all that, I just, not that they're bad games, but I don't have to have them. And I've sold all those games, all of them, and I have no regrets. I didn't lose a minute of sleep over selling these games, so that tells me something. So the games that I buy now are games that I want to play. But I'm a weird kind of gamer, because I could be happy with 1 or 2 games. If I had Arma and Elite, I'd probably be happy. And I'm still a sucker for buying games that have something weird. So I bought Redout. I already have Redout on PC. This is basically like F-Zero X and what? Oh God. Sorry. Wipeout. This is basically Wipeout. But we all know what happened to the studios that made Wipeout, because they are gone, and the chance of there being another series or another addition to the series of Wipeout, or even F-Zero X, you know, the Nintendo Sega cooperation, that's just not going to happen. So these people, they jumped in that hole and they made Redout. There are others. Someone said Ballistic NG on Steam. Very affordable games, but racing games, just not with tires. And they are fun. They are fun to play, especially when you put a lot of time in them and learn the tracks. And I like this. I like this. There's something about this that I like. So I bought Redout. I don't have PSVR yet, but I may, because they've been coming down in price, especially on the second-hand market. So I might be tempted to get one just to play this and that game by Jeff Minter, Polybius, which is Ace in VR. So I wanted this, the Light Speed Edition. Don't know what that means. As you can see, it's still sealed. I just and then I bought this game, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Now, this game is special because it is one of the only games, or maybe the only game, that set out to make a game that is played from the perspective of someone who is schizophrenic, who hears voices that aren't there, who sees things that aren't there. And I saw a documentary on the team that made this, and they actually invited people who suffer from that illness to tell them, you know, how that worked, and to tell them whether or not that they were accurate. And I've seen gameplay videos of this, and it's actually quite a scary experience, because they do it really well, especially when you have a headset on and you can really hear voices that aren't there, and it's pretty weird. And especially when you realize that the people who've actually experienced that in real life say, yeah, that's what it's like, you know. So it comes really close. Also, the girl that is the main character in the game, that's on the cover, she works in the studio. I think she was a producer, or maybe she was an office manager. I can't really remember. But they asked her one day, because they were doing motion capture for the game, you know, we need a model to do the motion capture. Would you mind stepping in and doing that? So she did that. And then they thought that she was so good that they actually asked her if she wanted to be the main character in the game. So this girl just works in the office there. And I thought that was pretty cool. Winner of 5 awards is a BAFTA Games, and the Game Awards 3. I don't know, but I thought this was a pretty good game. I have this game on Steam, and I just wanted to have it on PS4. So that's just one of those buy shit moments. But it has something, right? It has something. Oh, so I've just got my PC up here. And I thought, well, I'm going to use it today. Booting it takes well over 30 minutes. And it's just spontaneously rebooted. And that's all down to that SSD thing. It just does something. It's just spontaneously rebooting right now. I hadn't logged in yet. It was just sitting there waiting. And there it goes. Maybe it's an update. I don't know. It scares the hell out of me when computers do that. You know, they just reboot because, yeah. So I've had such bad luck with that PC stuff. You know, I basically I was doing quite well. I was a bit slow, but all this upgrading. You know, my old PC never spontaneously rebooted. I turned on my PC beforehand because I think it's going to take so long. By the time I'm done making this video, I'll have a running PC. And now at the end of this, recording this video, the fucking thing just reboots. So I'm back to square one. I'm hoping to get that all sorted out when I have the new adapter for my SSD drive. I spent $150 on that fucking thing, and it's caused me nothing but headache and a lot of stress. I've aged an extra year, and I just want a PC that I can rely on, that I can send to sleep. I used to hibernate my PC, right? You just put it to sleep. When you're done, you put it to sleep. Next day, you turn it on, and it's on basically. I can't do that now because it won't wake up out of hibernation. And I'm sure that it has something to do with that SSD. But I hate that. I hate not being able to rely on my computer. It's terrible. And that's how much of a nerd I am. Anyway, no further update on the stick. I mean, it's another spend. I have inspired someone to make their own stick. Jay's Vintage Junk. He's making a stick, but he's doing it like proper lumberjack mode, like taking old floorboards out of a house, and he's making a case out of that. Sure, it looks great. I'm sure the project is going to be very interesting. So I'm going to be following that. Otherwise, I've got nothing to say. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.